Hello and welcome to World News on the Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo and here are the headlines. Trump recalls US ambassador to Nigeria in sweeping diplomatic shakeup. Trump's appointment of envoy to Greenland sparks new tension with Denmark. Trump administration to grant special refugee status to South Africans. M23 rebels agree to withdraw from strategic Congo town of Uvira. Trump administration overhauls US-Africa health pacts with Nigeria and Kenya. Moscow car blasts kills Russian general hours after US talks Moscow. Poland scrambles jet as Russian airstrikes target western Ukraine Warsaw. And now the news in full. In a major move to realign the United States foreign presence with his America First agenda, President Donald Trump has officially recalled Richard Mills, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria. The recall is part of a broader sweeping directive targeting 30 career diplomats and senior embassy officials across the globe. According to reports first surfacing via Politico and confirmed by State Department officials, the mass recall heavily impacts the African continent, where ambassadors to 15 nations, including Nigeria, Egypt, Rwanda, Senegal, and Somalia, have been ordered to conclude their tenures. The reshuffle also extends to key posts in the Asia-Pacific region, Europe, and the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. State Department defended the decision as a routine exercise of presidential authority. An ambassador is a personal representative of a president, the department stated, emphasizing that the administration seeks to install individuals who will more aggressively advance the current administration's specific foreign policy goals. The affected diplomats, many of whom were appointed during the Biden administration, were reportedly notified last week that their assignments would end in January 2026. While their roles as mission chiefs are ending, officials noted that these individuals are not being dismissed from the Foreign Service and may be reassigned to positions within Washington. The Trump administration has reignited a fierce diplomatic row with Denmark and the semi-autonomous territory of Greenland following the appointment of Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a special envoy to Greenland. The nomination, announced Sunday, December 21st, prompted an immediate and sharp response. Copenhagen, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenlandic Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen issued a rare joint statement condemning the move. National borders and the sovereignty of states are rooted in international law, the statement read. You cannot annex another country. Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders. The appointment of a special envoy is seen by many as a precursor to renewed American efforts to gain jurisdiction over the mineral-rich island. President Trump has frequently discussed the strategic importance of Greenland during his second term, and the White House recently described the territory as vital for maintaining peace through strength in the Arctic. The tension follows months of escalating friction. Earlier this year, President J.D. Vance visited a remote Greenlandic military base and publicly criticized Denmark for underinvesting in the territory's security. Furthermore, Danish officials previously summoned the top U.S. diplomat in August following reports of covert U.S. influence operations on the island. In a policy shift that has sent shockwaves through the international community, the Trump administration has announced plans to grant special refugee status to Afrikaners from South Africa. The administration is citing targeted violence and systemic discrimination against the white minority group as the primary justification for this emergency humanitarian intervention. The move marks a significant departure from standard U.S. refugee protocols. Senior administration officials stated that the America First foreign policy includes protecting those who share Western cultural heritage and are facing existential threats. The policy will reportedly streamline the vetting process for Afrikaner farmers and their families, providing them with a direct pathway to resettlement in the United States, particularly in rural agricultural zones. The South African government has responded with a stiff diplomatic protest, labeling the move as an interference in its internal affairs and a misrepresentation of the country's socio-political climate. Following weeks of intense international pressure and a collapse in regional stability, the M23 rebel has officially agreed to withdraw from the strategic town of Uvira. The announcement comes as a fragile peace deal appears to be the only alternative to a full-scale regional war in the eastern DRC. Uvira, a critical port town on Lake Tanganyika, fell to the rebels during a lightning offensive that displaced thousands of civilians and threatened to cut off essential supply routes to the neighboring South Kivu region. The withdrawal agreement was reportedly brokered by regional mediators who warned that continued occupation would trigger a direct military intervention by a unified Sahel regional force. While the Congolese government has welcomed the news, military analysts remain cautious. Previous withdrawal agreements involving M23 have often resulted in the rebels merely repositioning to nearby hills rather than fully disarming. We will now go on a short break, and when we come back, the news will continue. Stay tuned.
The Papyrus Global, we don't just cover events, we create cinematic experiences. From red carpets to birthdays, gala dinners, and your fairy tale weddings, we bring your moments to life with high-tech precision. Our gadgets are smarter, our lenses sharper, and our team simply world-class. Trust the Papyrus Global to tell your story in the boldest, brightest way possible.
Welcome back, and now the news will continue. In a significant pivot for American global health policy, the Trump administration has finalized new bilateral health agreements with Nigeria and Kenya, fundamentally restructuring how the United States provide medical aid to the continent. The Associated Press reports that these deals emphasize reciprocal accountability and a shift away from traditional multi-year aid packages. The agreements signed this week place a heavy emphasis on domestic manufacturing of medical supplies and pandemic preparedness, moving away from the broad NGO-led distribution models of previous years. Under the new terms, the U.S. will prioritize the sale and transfer of American-made medical technology and pharmaceuticals to these nations, while demanding stricter transparency and the elimination of bureaucratic middlemen in the delivery of health services. Critics of the new policy express concern that the shift towards transactional health diplomacy could jeopardize long-standing programs like PEPFAR, which provides life-saving HIV/AIDS treatment. However, the White House has maintained that these America First health partnerships are designed to make African nations more self-reliant, while ensuring that U.S. taxpayer dollars directly benefit American industries and the target populations. A high-ranking Russian General Lieutenant General Fanil Servarov was killed in a devastating car bombings in southern Moscow late Monday, December 2022, an incident that has sent shockwaves through international diplomatic cycles. According to reports, the assassination occurred just hours after the official had concluded a series of sensitive discussions with United States representatives. The blast, which ripped through the vehicle in a residential area of the capital, resulted in the immediate death of the general, whose identity is being withheld pending full military notification. Preliminary investigations by Russian security services suggest the device was a meticulously planned explosive intended to maximize impact. The timing of the attack is particularly significant as it follows a rare round of high-level talks between Moscow and Washington aimed at de-escalating regional tensions. While no group has yet claimed responsibility, the Kremlin has labeled the incident as a terrorist attack and a provocation designed to undermine the fragile diplomatic progress made during the recent meetings. The Polish military was forced to scramble fighter jets and place its air defense systems on high readiness early Tuesday, December 23rd morning after Russia launched a series of major airstrikes targeting western Ukraine. According to live updates, the strikes occurred dangerously close to the Polish border, prompting preventive measures to secure NATO airspace. The escalation comes amid a broader Russian offensive that has caused emergency power outages across Ukraine. In the Odessa region, Russian forces reportedly struck critical port and energy infrastructure, sparking a massive fire at the port of Pivdeny that destroyed containers of flour and vegetable oil. The attacks have disrupted electricity for over 120,000 customers in the region. The Kremlin has meanwhile denied recent US intelligence reports suggesting that Vladimir Putin remains intent on capturing all of Ukraine and reclaiming territories of former Soviet bloc states, including NATO members. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov labeled the intelligence absolutely not true, even as Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov stated that Moscow is prepared to sign a legal agreement confirming it has no intention of attacking the EU or NATO. And that's all we have on World News on the Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo. Thanks for joining us.